So it's senior year, and whether you're just moving out of your parents' house or whether you're just graduating and fixing to go to college, you're getting ready to strike it out on your own. But you have some questions. Well, today I have 5 things that you should know before striking it out on your own. Coming up. Welcome everybody, my name is Jesse, and I'm here with the 5 things that you need to know before striking it out on your own. Number 1, having a plan. Having a plan in place is going to save you a lot of time and a lot of grief. A plan could be a job path, whether you're starting your own business or whether you're working for somebody else. A lot of times people feel like they need to go to college just because that's the thing to do. That's not necessarily the case, and you don't need to necessarily put yourself in that position. Think of having a general plan like having a rudder on a ship. When you have a plan, you kind of know which direction it's going to point you. So not having one is going to set you adrift, and it's going to take you a while to get where you think you want to go. Number 2, you don't have to know the entire plan. You don't have to have it all together. You don't have to have everything spelled out in a bullet point list. But if you don't know what you want to be when you grow up, or what program to go into, or what job to take next, or should I get an apartment, should I get a house, should I crash at my parents' house, should I live with a friend, things like that. Because in reality, you don't know what you don't know, so how do you plan for it? All you gotta do is take care of what's right in front of you now, and the next steps will take care of themselves. I mean, sometimes all you can do is just take it one day at a time. There's a saying that plans rarely survive contact with the enemy, and what that means is you can make all the good plans in the world, but inevitably something's going to mess them up. And if you get too hung up on the plan, then you're going to find yourself in a pretty difficult position trying to adjust and be fluid when life kind of throws those curveballs at you. Number 3, you don't have to know what you want to be when you grow up. College is expensive. And the reality is a lot of people spend a lot of money going to college and end up not even pursuing a career in the field that they went to college for. Long education, taking credits in areas that they don't need, that have nothing to do with their schooling, are paying thousands and thousands of dollars for them and end up doing something completely different by the end of it. Now, in some cases, that's not necessarily a bad thing. There are some really high caliber jobs that require a good, thorough education. But by and large, it's good to know for sure what you want to do before entering into college. Some people are really married to the idea of going to college immediately after high school, and I'm coming to tell you now, there is nothing wrong with taking a year or 2 off and really understanding and taking the time to figure out what you want to do. And especially the way finances are right now in 2023, you don't want to be wasting a ton of money on an education that isn't going to pay off, or it's going to take decades to pay off. Because let me tell you, you don't want that hanging over your head. That's rough. Now, I'm not saying you should be idle in that time, but take some time, work a couple part-time jobs, try out some fields of work that you've never tried before, see if something tickles your fancy, see if something jumps out at you. You don't know who you're going to meet in these different jobs, you don't know what kind of opportunities you're going to get, but you need to explore a little bit around you. Especially if you end up moving to a new town, new city, new country, things like that. You just don't know what opportunities are going to present themselves. And in a lot of cases, you don't need a formal education to make a career. Number 4, by and large, excessive self-indulgence is not what it's cracked up to be. What do I mean by that? Drugs, alcohol, sex, things like that. These are all things that will give you a really good initial dopamine hit, but will leave you with a crash and leave you craving, wanting more that you can't just immediately get. And as a young person, especially when you're talking about consumables like drugs and alcohol and overeating and poor dieting decisions, things like that, those are all things that are temporary. Like if you want to do drugs, you have to go out and buy more, but the problem is you're becoming addicted to it. And the more addicted you become to it, the more of it you have to get the high that you need. That said, I would advise everyone to stay away from drugs, obviously, alcohol in good moderation. And as far as sex goes, that's the only thing that we're biologically wired to pursue. And even then, if it's not in the right relational context, it ends up being really shallow and not giving you the pleasure that you really are looking for. There's something inside of everybody that's looking for a deep emotional connection when it comes to lovemaking, and we won't get into that now, but there's a level of intimacy that's involved in lovemaking that makes it really enjoyable. And if you're only pursuing sex for the physical side of it, then you're missing out on a really big important part of sexual intercourse, and you're not going to get the real enjoyment out of it. I mean, think of ordering a hamburger and getting it without the bun. Like, you're getting a lot of it, but there's still an important component missing. As far as all of these things put together, it's easy to, well, I'm in college now, I'm gonna drink myself stupid every weekend. You're gonna put yourself in a bad position. You start building those bad habits, you start waking up at 10, 11, 12 in the afternoon, and your life's gonna go downhill, and you're gonna kind of get into this spiral to where you can't regulate yourself, you can't regulate your lifestyle, you can't keep up on the schoolwork and things like that you need. If you want to be high value, if you want to be efficient, if you want to be a high earner, if you want to be a big achiever, some of you are coming out of really good academic highs. You're getting honors and you're getting awards and things like that. It's going to be a huge shame if you waste it all on physical pleasures. It's like spending money. You could lose it all really fast. We've all heard those stories of the people who win the lottery and they step into that new money. They lose it all really quick. Within a year or two, they win millions of dollars and it's all gone and they have nothing to show for it. You don't want to do that with your time and your body and your finances and your emotions and your relationships, your job. I think what a lot of people fail to understand is that you affect a lot more people than just you. So if nothing else, take the alcohol in moderation, take the drugs out of your system and out of your life. Really cherish those social and romantic relationships, because the way you handle yourself with all these different things are going to affect more than just you. And if you find yourself in a position where you already have, a kid or two, or, you're supporting others, then you can't afford to be doing that sort of stuff. You're going to really harm the people around you. So it's really important that you focus on building those good habits. Sometimes that means a little self-sacrifice of not indulging in the things that you want. And number 5, you are ready. A lot of people are scared to move out on their own, to be alone in an apartment, in a house. And you know what? Let me tell you that it is awesome. You're probably coming out of family's home, whether it's your parents' house, grandparents, something like that, or maybe you've lived in a dorm for a little while. Let me tell you, once you get your own dedicated space that is yours, like actually yours, like really actually yours, like that is incredible. And there is a certain measure of freedom that it's incredible. It's cathartic. Being able to say, this is my kitchen and my living room, and I can put my feet on the couch and I can leave my dishes in the sink for 3 days and I don't have anybody bugging me to wash them. I don't know why you would, but things like that. When you realize you have your own space and you're playing only by your rules, you'll never want to go back. And once you get that taste of freedom, you'll be so happy you had it. When I was 19 years old, I was living in my sister's house, halfway on her couch and halfway in her garage. And let me tell you, there is no other feeling than feeling like you are in somebody's way when you are sleeping on the sofa of a family with 4 kids. Because it sucks. A lot. To make matters worse, this was during 2008, 2009. So my full-time job was looking for a full-time job. After putting in applications to probably about 50 different places, I finally got a job at McDonald's. But you know what? Being in that crappy situation really pushed me and really drove me to pursue my own freedom. Because after that, I got accepted into the school that I wanted to go to, and then the summer between going to school and sleeping on my sister's couch, I ended up moving out, and I got some roommates in a house. Being able to have my own room, my own open space to where I could watch movies and play games and things like that, it was awesome. Being able to wake up and have meals on my terms, to have my own schedule, to have my own space to do the work that I needed to do, it was awesome. And there were ups and downs in that time, but you know what? I grew a lot and I learned a lot. Why do I say all that? Anything in life worth doing, you typically have to start before you're ready. You could always save more money. You could always kick that can down the road and sleep at your parents' house more and more and more, leech off of them until you're 30. And, in some cases that's going to be okay because the situation warrants it. But by and large, once you hit young adulthood, it's time to go. And I want you to know that you can do it. Now, some of you are listening to this and you're asking, well, what if, insert problem here. The thing is, if you can start with the baby steps of becoming self-sufficient on your own, if there's ever a situation in the future where you need to ask for help, say from your parents, they know you're good for it. They know you're not a deadbeat that's just mooching off of them. You've taken the initiative to move out of the house, to get a job, to pay your own bills, to get your own phone plan and get your own insurance and things like that. But if you go to them and you ask for help, chances are they're probably not going to say no. because they know that you're working hard and that you're probably good for it. So that's it. So those are the 5 things we need to move out on our own and to keep in mind when you're getting ready to leave high school and kick it out on your own, get in your own place and things like that. If you're interested in any of the topics that I touched up on today and you want to see a whole video about it, leave a comment down below and I will be happy to dig into it some more and we can talk on those topics. If you like what you saw, then hit the little ringy dingy and the buttons down below and, all the doobly doo, and you'll get a notification when the next video goes up. But until then, have a good one.